Burn the tape. The Pistons dropped their 5th game of the season in Milwaukee. We'll break it all down in just a moment. Welcome back to the Pistons Jack YouTube channel. On today's episode, we are going to react to the Pistons' 5th loss of the season. They fall to the Bucks on the road. The final score was 109 to 113. This was a pretty ugly game. I think outside the Cavs game, this was definitely the second worst loss of the year. When you think about who the Pistons have lost to, the Boston and Magic games, I think those losses, as much as they hurt, they were against good teams. One was on the road. They were in the NBA Cup games, high stakes. Those ones don't really bother me. And then the Bulls game to start the year, opening night, anything can happen. So this is definitely the Pistons' second worst loss of the year. It's only their 5th, so we're not going to overreact on today's show. We're going to talk about this game and just try and get all the bad vibes, because this was a pretty stagnant game. The Pistons started well. In the first 5 minutes of the game, Giannis went down with a non-contact injury, which looked like an Achilles. At that stage, I believe the Pistons were up 11-4. They started well out the gates. Cade hit a pull-up 3. The team was clicking pretty well. Giannis goes down. Thankfully, it isn't an Achilles injury, but it's reportedly a calf strain. But he goes down, and the Pistons continued to play well in the first quarter. And it didn't initially... They didn't take their foot off the pedal. They end up finishing the first quarter up 30-21. But I think they led by as many as, I want to say, 13-14. And the Bucks started to creep back in towards the end of the second. But during the third, I think, towards the end of the first, that is. Then during the second quarter, the Pistons got up by as many as 16, maybe 18. One of the big positives of tonight, one of the few, I would say, was Jaden Ivey. He had by far, I thought, his best game since returning from injury. This is his 6th game back, I believe, maybe 7th. He had 15 points, 6 rebounds, and assist. Made 2 threes, perfect from the free throw line, and 50% overall. I thought he looked pretty close to his usual self. You can still tell he's trying to get that burst and elevation back on some drives, but he had a nice and-1 finish. Hit a couple of threes, and I think he's been perfect from the free throw line since returning. But he kind of was a key part of them at the start of the second, building a bigger lead. But then, honestly, from that point on, the Bucks, it looked like the Pistons went into like cruise control. I don't want to say they weren't trying. Obviously, they're always trying, but the effort levels just weren't there. Jalen Durham was in foul trouble. Sasser got into foul trouble in the first half at one point, and he played a really good game overall. But he got into some foul trouble. Cade was kind of just off. The Bucks went to a zone, which we saw the Heat do a couple of games ago, and that kind of changed everything. The Pistons just couldn't pick apart the zone. They're obviously missing Duncan Robinson, who they had against Miami to break the zone. And they just, like tonight, they did make 14 threes. Tobias made 5. He was another solid player. He finished with 20. But you just feel like the lack of shooting. And that kind of brings me to the first point I want to discuss was Caris LeVert just didn't have it tonight. And I think Caris has been good for a couple of weeks now after a slow start. But he played 23 minutes, was 1 of 10 from the field, 1 of 8. Had a turnover, a team high, or team low, if you want to put it like this, minus 28. He just didn't have it. I thought maybe they could have thrown in Chaz Lanier for some shooting at one point when the Pistons just couldn't get a bucket. Definitely not blaming Caris for the loss. The whole team, honestly, outside of Tobias, Ivey, and Sasser in stretches, kind of just seemed to not really have it. But Caris playing that many minutes was kind of questionable. And maybe you could have got Chaz Lanier out there for some more shooting. But yeah, the team really misses Duncan Robinson. Ryan Rollins did an awesome job on Cade, forcing him whether if he didn't force him into a turnover, he forced him to give the ball up to a non-desirable shooter in the corner. Felt like that happened a lot where Javonte Green was ending the shot clock with a three, or Sasser at one point in the clutch ended the possession with a three. And look, Javonte made a couple. But I'm just saying, like, as the Bucks, you will live with Javonte corner threes, Ron Holland corner threes, Asar Thompson corner threes. Like, if they make them, you live with that. And it felt like they did a great job with the zone, forcing Cade to give it up to those types of shooters. And Cade just was never really able to get going. And like I said, once Giannis went down, it felt like the Bucks took, 5 minutes to adjust to the shock of it all, because it looked like a pretty scary injury for Giannis. And then they never looked back. Like, Ryan Rollins finished with 22 points, 8 assists. Kevin Porter Jr. killed the Pistons. He had 26 and 7 assists. That backcourt just absolutely destroyed the Pistons. Miles Turner had a little stretch where he got it going to help get them the lead in the third with a couple of blocks, a big dunk, hit a three to give them the lead at one stage. And then it was AJ Green who helped as well. Just the Pistons, I think, got up by 6. Towards the end of the fourth, AJ Green hits back-to-back threes. It's back to level. And the thing that really hurt the Pistons tonight was they only had 14 turnovers in this game, but 8 of them came in the last quarter. And the Bucks had 0 in the last quarter and 15 for the game. So they couldn't get shots up. The shots they were getting weren't great. Stu got ejected. And from that point on, the Pistons got outscored by 10. So you lose him. Jalen Durham was in foul trouble. It just was a bad game. That's why I said burn the tape. B-Ball Paul gave them some life with some really good minutes in only 7 minutes. He had 9 points, hit a corner three, had a crazy block. I tweeted out at the start of the third, I think they need his energy. He came in and gave that energy, but even tonight, like, that just wasn't enough. So I don't think the sky's falling. I don't think we should be losing our minds, but they certainly miss Duncan Robinson. They miss his shooting desperately. And I'm not ready to say yet they need to, make a move tomorrow. But it's something to monitor. It feels like now they've kind of not fallen back to earth, because they're still the top of the East. We're 7-5. I think they're 2 games ahead now, unless the Raptors won in first position. So everything's still fine. The defense is still holding up well. But it is something to monitor that without Duncan Robinson, they've scored 99 last game, only 109 tonight. And I know Tobias made 5 threes, but you're not typically going to get that from him. Like, the floor spacing and how they're able to defend the Pistons when they don't have Duncan. Cade has had 17 points tonight, 18 the game before. The spacing has dramatically changed. And if Duncan's not back soon, I think this is probably the type of basketball we're going to see. And maybe already, if this is what it's going to look like with just out Duncan Robinson, then I think you desperately probably do need to find another shooter. So we'll see what happens. But I don't think this means everything's gone and, the Pistons are going to fall back to a 500 team. Like, let's just relax there. It's one bad game. Burn the tape, like I said. Keep in mind and keep your options open for another shooter to add to this roster. Hopefully, maybe next game, if Duncan can't play, we play Chaz Lanier just to get some shooting out there to kind of spread the floor. But that's kind of all I got on this game. I don't have a whole lot more. Disappointing loss, like I said. The other quick note I wanted to make was Marcus Sasser. He's officially returned. He played for the Motor City Cruise earlier today. He had 20 points. The Cruise lost by 2 points, I think, but he was out there looking like his usual self. So maybe next game, because he's been elevated back to the roster following that Cruise game. So, I mean, his shot making, shooting, that would be a great addition, especially while Duncan's out. So, Dennis Jenkins has probably struggled a little bit the past few as a starter, probably not up to his usual standards that we've expected. So, who knows, maybe next game, Ivey, he played nearly 19 minutes tonight, 5 above his usual 14. Maybe we're getting back to starting him if Duncan's still out, but sky's not falling. Everything's all good. That's going to do it for today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow with another one, of course. But thank you so much for watching. And as always, go Pistons.